Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we'd do another video looking at Operation Summer because the last few days I've basically just been going over in my mind little improvements or little ideas that would be nice to see when it comes to future events. Maybe not obviously this one because it's all laid and done, but every time these events come along, I'm always looking for a little bit of innovation. I'm always looking for something which is different from the year before. And with this Operation Summer event, if we compare it to Operation Heat, well, it's basically exactly the same with slightly different challenges. If anything, this one is slightly worse because of the coupon idea being not available for the low-tier vehicles. But the main thing is, when it comes to Operation Summer 2020, is I don't really see any innovation. I don't see any changes. Maybe people are happy with that. We've talked about in the past how, there are certain events that Gaijin, puts on that people really like. So why should they change them? The whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it idea. And I completely agree with that. But what you can do is you can still add things to these events which would not fundamentally break them, would not change how they work, but just make them more interesting from the average person. So instead of focusing on different vehicles that I'd like to see in this event, because I'm not too happy with the top tier offerings when it comes to game balance, when it comes to, the overall ideas of them. I thought we would look at it from another angle of what could we add to this event to make it a little bit more interesting, whether it be from the form of challenges, whether it be from the form of prizes, or just ideas to kind of add on to it to make it a little bit more than just your standardized challenge event. So I'm going to take some inspiration from some other Gaijin games, because obviously, if you didn't know, Gaijin is a publisher as well. I believe it's the largest publisher in Russia at the moment when it comes to games, and they have actually been knocking it out the park with a bunch of their other stuff. If you go and look at what's happening over Crossout, Cuisine Royale, obviously Enlisted is on the way as well. You have Star Conflict, which has a pretty cool system when it comes to its like weekly content. But one of the things that kind of stood out over the last few days is this. This is animated portraits for your profiles when it comes to Crossout. So what they've actually done is they've actually just added some interactive profile icons, and this is a example of one. I thought this was really awesome, and generally what we see in stuff like Operation Summer is if you have a look at, the stars and everything, a lot of people will not go for the last two. They'll kind of just give up once they get the vehicle, and therefore that means that these last two stars for each part are not really that useful. You get a camouflage, you get a decal, or you get a decoration. Most people are there for the vehicles. But also, they've tried to change that by adding this to it, so you get not just a nice decal, but you get another decal on top of it, kind of like a completion decal. So that's a good step in the that direction. But what if they added something as cool as animated profiles? What if profile pictures, I should say? What if something like this was added to the game, where it would show on your profile that you were the one who created, the completed fully the Operation Summer event? Something is really interesting when people either come onto the stream or I chat to them and they see the profile picture I have on War Thunder and it has the red background. And there are three profile pics in War Thunder's history, I believe, which have this full red background, and they're all Thunder League profile pics. So it's really interesting when people go, hey, where did you get that from? And then you can talk about, the Thunder League, you can talk about where it's from, and it's because it stands out. And something like this, something like an animated profile picture would definitely stand out to people and be like, hey, where did you get that from? And then you can go, well, I did this operation over here. It's an event that Gaijin runs every year, and therefore you can get more people interested in the yearly events that, Gaijin do. So I think that would be nice to see as one of the challenge rewards, whether it be you've completed all the tasks, or whether it be something, middling. Depends on, obviously, the quality of the animated profiles and, obviously, the availability of them. The next thing is something we've already talked about, bringing back the community events. Operation Summer 2020 feels like a community event that is going to be a very selfish one, mainly because all of the things when it comes to the challenges are all selfish challenges. They're all I need to get kills. They're all I need to get wins. I need to get damage. The only one which isn't selfish is assists. And even then, it's quite easy to control that from a single player point of view. So it would just be nice to have some kind of collective thing there. I mean, as I said, I've already talked about this in the critique video, so we're not going to go into it that much. But the main thing is to try and explore different questions, be able to, get people to play stuff like single missions. Maybe one of the things is go play like a helicopter mission, or go play an assault game mode. Maybe it's, I don't know, something as simple as now that Xbox players have access to like simulator, try out a an EC match when it comes to aircraft. Play 30 minutes of EC. Something as simple as that, which would just give people a look at a new horizon instead of be stuck in, their ways before. Or maybe it's play one match of each game mode, just something different where people can just give it a go. And obviously you can put prizes on top of that as well, and do the Christmas lights idea that we've discussed before. So once again, trying to explore different horizons. The next thing would be taking some inspiration from Operation Summer. Now, I know a lot of people didn't like Operation Summer. I don't really know why. I think it was actually the best Build-A-Bear event that we've had so far. The reason for that is because you knew that if you completed all the challenges, there was no hidden limiters in there. There was no look at the space race. So the space race was legitimately set up as an event, so you could only get half the vehicles if you were grinding. That's it. You could only get half, and the other vehicles were limited. This is a complete move, which is completely designed to push people towards the market to either buy the vehicles or to either pit players against each other by trying to get the resources. The great thing about the IS-7 event when it comes to that idea is the IS-7 could be ground out by itself. You didn't need any outside forces. If you wanted to make it a little bit faster, then you could have obviously used the market. But if you just ground out the amount of hours that were required, you got the IS-7, you got the T-34E. And that was something really nice. And that's something we saw fail in Battlefield Engineer. That's something that we saw fail in Operation Shipyard because of the way that the first places worked. So at the end of the day, it's one of those real problems when it comes to these game modes or comes to these challenges that they're putting artificial limiters in them. And yeah, that's why I think this one was the best Build-A-Bear event. Now, the inspiration I want to take from the first Operation Summer is a simple one. The idea of the blueprint. So I really like the idea of getting a blueprint from something and being able to build it over time. Now, the bit I don't necessarily like is the bit where it's timed. So therefore, you only have a specific amount of time to grind out the parts for the vehicles. But if you are, if you haven't played one of these events before, basically what happens is you get like a schematic for a vehicle, you play matches, and in the matches you unlock, specific parts for the vehicle. You put the parts together, create the components, and then you put the components together, create the vehicle. If we took something like that and applied it to something like Operation Summer 2020. So we have, let's say, a 7th vehicle which is available if you complete a certain amount of tasks. Let's say you get up to like, I don't know, 21 tasks overall, or 21 stars overall, and you unlock this blueprint. And what this blueprint is it sits in your inventory, and you can either coupon it, so you can sell it on the market, or you can activate it. And once you activate it, it stays in your inventory, and over time, it gives you like the workshop tab with all of the bits and pieces that is required to build whatever vehicle or whatever machine it is, and over time you were able to grind that out. There wouldn't, in an ideal world, there wouldn't be a time limit on it. You know, it would just be something that you could let sit there for as long as you want, and then as you come back to the game, you know, it would be there. I would be fine with putting a timer on it, as long as the timer was sufficient, something like maybe the vehicle takes 3 weeks of grinding, therefore we leave it up for 3 months, right? Something like that. And it would just be another avenue to keep people playing the game. It would be another passive grinding thing that people would be interested in. Think about how successful stuff like squadron vehicles have been, where you have this new reason to be in a squadron, you have this new reason to play the game, you know, every 3 days, and that's basically what this system would be with the blueprint system. So, yeah, it would reward people for playing the Summer 2020 event. It would reward them either monetarily, since they could sell the blueprint on the market, but the key thing is, you wouldn't be able to sell the vehicle when it was fully made. Once you commit to consuming that blueprint, you keep the vehicle. It's as simple as that. So I don't want anybody, you know, couponing off the fully made vehicle, because then that takes away the complete experience of grinding that vehicle. Another thing that would be nice to come back, and I think it was available in the good old summer event, but I'm not entirely sure, because it might have been in a different event, but I just can't find any confirmation of it anywhere, and I'm pretty sure it happened here. But if it didn't happen here, I apologize. So one of the things that was done in an event in the past, I believe this one, is you were able to trade in certain vehicles. They made like an armored car trade-in thing, which was basically like if you ground out, or if you got the SDKFC 2343 in this example, which would be this thing, you were able to trade it in, like coupon for stuff like the AEC Mark II, the SDKFC 2344, and other machines. I would love to see this again. I think this was a really cool system. I thought it meant that older players, or newer players, sorry, would be able to get access to event vehicles that there would be no other way of getting access to apart from exorbitant amounts of money on the Gaijin market, which I don't generally like because it's incredibly predatory. So therefore, when it comes to stuff like this, why not give people an avenue to get access to older event vehicles? I've never been in the exclusive club. I don't agree with the idea that just because somebody was around in War Thunder at a time when, certain vehicles were available to grind, that new players should not get that experience. They should not be able to gain those vehicles. I don't like this veteran old boys club style that people always push forward. I would much, much prefer just a general idea of, you know what, if you let's say get in Operation Summer 2020, let's say you get something like the IFV-73, you can trade it in for older vehicles which were at that lower tier ground vehicle level. And I think that would generally be pretty good. I think overall it would mean that people would get access to vehicles that they would want instead of vehicles that they're not too happy with. I know a lot of people have talked about how the IFV-73 is kind of just going to be a hangar decoration. They're never going to use it. So why not try and make that a bit more useful from the average person and put in it, the ability to exchange it for older vehicles. The next one actually comes from Cuisine Royale. Now, Cuisine Royale is definitely a game to keep an eye on. Not if you don't like playing it, because obviously, it's quite an all over the place game. It is a battle royale game. And for me personally, I'm just terrible at it. I'm really bad at shooting. My eyes don't work properly, and I just find it very hard to track and very hard to follow, just like a lot of battle royales. But one thing that Cuisine Royale does, which is interesting, which a lot of other games do as well, is a form of battle pass system. They don't call it a battle pass. They call it daily tasks, or they call it you have to like buy this book thing, and then it gives you access to it. So there is like an entry-level requirement to the thing and everything like that. But the main thing to understand from Cuisine Royale's point of view is you have this like challenge system where you have a set of premium stuff and a set of basic rewards. What if you could do this twofold? So you could either make it, if you get so many stars on Operation Summer 2020, you get access to a list which would be challenge rewards that would run alongside your dailies, right? And so let's say for 20 days during Operation Summer 2020, we have this challenge reward system where it's an extra challenge on top, and you can get yourself some SL, some currency, some premium time, no matter what it is, you know, it would be available to you to use. The other thing that you could do, if you didn't want to do like a challenge system over the area of the event, sorry, I have to stretch. Basically what you could do is you could make it so if you hit a certain level on here, it would just make your dailies better for a certain period of time. Let's say you got 10 or 11 stars across the board, then that would mean that when you get your dailies, your daily prize, or your daily login bonus every day, maybe that is increased by 150%, or maybe it's increased by 50% or 20%. Just a little thing just to give people a little bit more reason to grind the event, which would give them a little bit more passive income over time, especially when it came to SL and also stuff like discounts, trying to once again give them more of an engaging way of playing the game. The other one as well, and the last one, is just a simple one. I really like the fact that on the 10th star for World War mode, you get the emblem, or the decal basically, for the World War mode, but you also get a unique title. You get Veteran of the Season Road to the West. Why don't we just expand this idea to stuff like Operation Summer? Why don't we have, like, I don't know, Summer 2020 Veteran or something like that? So you could have not just the animated profile pics to show, you know, what you did in the past in War Thunder, tying you to it. You could also have a title which would do the same. And I think generally this would mean that people would be more interested in, you know, doing especially some of the later ones if you attach this to the 12th one, because it's kind of, once again, a completion bonus, which isn't just a decal or a decoration. The title game in War Thunder is something which is kind of nice to see. It isn't something I don't think that is widely used, but it is something that should be, you know, seen. And if people want to flaunt the fact that they were able to complete Operation Summer completely, I think it is worth giving them an avenue to do it, and this would be one of those ways. So yeah, that is just a general video looking at ideas when it comes to future events and what would be nice to see them integrated in. I'm going to head off to work. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Battling Bacon, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Conte Baraka, Daniel Stanton, Elove Goat, Jay Wilt, Martinez, Trigger Hippie, Universe, Eugens Terry, and also I'm Devilish and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.